Hi, I'm Torstein from Cinema Terror, and today I have a fresh new Norwegian horror film to review called Hjemsøkt, or Haunted, as its direct translated title would be. Yet another film I had the pleasure of seeing on my trip to the fantastic horror film festival called Ramaskrik. In Hjemsøkt we follow the young woman named Catherine. Due to her father recently dying, she has to go back to her old childhood home to clean it up and make it ready to be sold. But when she gets there, traumatic experiences from her childhood starts to haunt her, forcing her to face the harrowing history of her very own family. Hjemsøkt is a more traditional Norwegian movie than what the later entries of our horror movies, such as Cold Prey and Dead Snow, would lead it on to believe. The closest I can think of would be Villmark or Dark Woods, as I believe it is known as internationally. This goes for drama over scares and succeeds more on a technical level than on an entertaining one. The story is not something new at all, and might remind some of other more classical supernatural films such as Alejandro Amenabar's 2001 film The Others. We spend the entire running time of the movie with the character of Catherine, portrayed by Synnøve Macody Lund. Her character is a bit unusual for a horror film, as she comes off as having a bit of a cold personality, not wanting to show any of her true emotions. And the film tries to make you go from not liking her at the start of the film, and then hoping that you will start to feel for her once you get under her surface. For me this didn't quite work, and even if actress Macody Lund does do a respectable job, the character just did not do much for me, and I failed in keeping any interest in what she was going through during the movie. Perhaps I'd be more forgiving over this character if the actual horror stuff of the film worked. You don't get anything new here, and it almost feels like a film that isn't even trying to be any scary or creepy, even if it has a big old house as a premise to go wild with your imagination as a creator. Elegance and creepy rarely go hand in hand, and speaking as a horror fan, the lack of successful scary atmosphere does bring the entire experience down. The film tries to have more to it than just being a spooky movie, and that's fine, but it surprisingly lacks a bit of a nuance, perhaps due to it also wanting to draw in the general moviegoers and not be too artsy. The problem is that it not only fails in delivering on the horror part, but also on the drama, due to me not caring that much of Catherine at all, and much less about the relationship with the rich and temperamental boyfriend Marcus, who is a character that is pretty much wasted and adds little to the picture except being there for Catherine to play off on. In fact, all of the supporting characters are quite poor, either on the acting part or on actually being fleshed out enough to spark any interest. Hjemsøkt is the film debut of director Carl Christian Rabe, although he has done crew work on several other Norwegian films during the last few years. I would not be surprised if he gets work on bigger Norwegian productions in the future due to his work on this film, but if he wants to work within the horror genre, then he needs to spend more time figuring out how to set up jump scares correctly and create a creepy atmosphere. That being said, it would also surprise me if he keeps on working within this genre. Hjemsøkt is a horror film that doesn't really cater to the horror crowd, so if you're hoping for a scary haunted house film, then this is not the one for you. And I don't even believe that we are the ones the film was made for in the first place. It is, however, perhaps the best shot film that Norway has delivered within this genre, but it doesn't make up for the lack of engagement you will feel while watching it. I won't call it boring or bad by any means, but it did feel like a long movie, even with a running time of only 84 minutes. Hjemsøkt is not a bad film to watch, but it is a bit underwhelming. It should also be mentioned that this is not a movie for my taste, and with that in mind, I can only give Hjemsøkt a final score of 2.5 out of 5. Do I actually have any other fellow Norwegians watching my channel that might have went on to see this film yet? If so, what did you think of it? I am especially interested in hearing what you might think of the horror elements of the film. Let me know about it in the comment section below, like, subscribe and all of that stuff, and I hope to see you again next time. Thank you.